Looks like I'm having some light issues here. Oh yes, definitely need some light. Good afternoon, and welcome to the Wolf Report. Christina-Bannon-Rodriguez will be joining us very soon. I'm having a little bit of a light issue here. If you give me a second, I'm going to bring us some more light. So just give me a second here, just a second, and we should be on the air. Hello, Christina. Christine, are you there? Chris? Good afternoon, Chris. How are you?
Good. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Could you give me a second? I've got to get some light here because I didn't. It's daylight and I'm in the patio, and I thought I'd have more light than this. So I'll be right back, ladies and gentlemen. I'll be right back. Give me a second.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Just waiting for him to come back. Hi, Rich. Hi, Marco. Hello. Hello, Daniel. You've been trying to get me, Rich? How come?
second, trying to get some more light. As you all know, I'm pretty dark, so want to see me.
Hi, Daniel.
Well, I think everyone's here. Basically, to see you, Christina. Hopefully, this will work this situation. It's going to be working out. Okay.
Probably, if you have blinds behind you, Dennis, it'd probably make it better if you pulled them down.
They're sliding down, sliding blinds. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go out front. It's a little noisier, but there's a lot of light out front. So and it's daytime. Definitely not a light problem now. Okay, welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to our program. My guest today is Christine-Bannon-Rodriguez. She's a 9-time world champion. Christina, can you tell us how that came about? I mean, those was I know that was a lot of work, and 9 times. And back in your time, there were very few women that were in competition as yourself. I can name them on one hand, and you're probably the most well-known one. Could you tell us about how it was back then? I mean, it's not like it is now. They have the MMA and the UFC and all of that. And back then, we've had the pure tournament and the kickboxing, and you actually did some actual full contact fighting, and you're running your own tournament and you're doing things with children. Could you tell us about your career as far as your championships? I'm sure everyone wants to know about you. And also, ladies and gentlemen, Christine-Bannon-Rodriguez is also a ninth Dan in Kempo. In case you didn't know that, she's a grandmaster. So I'm not just saying Christine-Bannon-Rodriguez because she's such a sweet lady. She's awesome to be with. When I was with her at the Action Martial Arts Magazine Hall of Honor, she was just awesome to be with. And awesome. I mean,
Thank
just
you.
a pleasure. But the audience wants to know about these 9 championships that you.
Well, when I first started competing as an underbelt, there were not many women around. And, as I progressed and got into the black belt levels, before black belt, I did a little bit of kickboxing. And, back then with kickboxing, of course, you need to be very close in weight when you have an opponent, and there just really were not many women around back then. So wasn't having much luck getting fights. So that's when I pretty much spent more time venturing into the sport karate and was able to compete, against the men all the time in the forms and weapons competition. And then, women fighting. And, after I made my black belt, I really enjoyed the competition. Wanted to become #1 in New England. That was my goal. And I achieved that. And that was back in the Karate Illustrated days when Karate Illustrated used to do the ratings, and New England was Region 12 back then. Mm-hmm. And then my goal was to become a national champion. So I started hitting all the national tournaments. I think the Bluegrass Nationals was my first one, and then I went to the Llama Nationals and AKs and all those tournaments. And,
Wow.
it took me some time, but, I became number one in the country. And then my goal was to become number one in all three forms, fighting and weapons, because a lot of people just really focus on one division. So
Uh-huh.
I wanted to achieve that because you had your forms and weapons champions, and then you had your fighting champions like Billy Blanks and Nasty Anderson and Linda Denley and Arlene Lemus and people like that back
Oh, you're
then.
naming some of the greats. Ah, Nasty
Yeah,
Anderson, Linda Dunaway. Yeah, I remember that. That's probably before a lot of these younger generations' time. But
yeah.
yes, they were the greats. Yes. So you
So
you did all of these.
I did, and then after I achieved that, in North America or USA, as far as being number one in the three categories, I wanted to become a world champion. And so, I just kept setting my goals higher and higher. And the first World Championships I went to, I won a gold medal in forms and a bronze in fighting. So, after I did that and was competing against, all those different countries, I just thought it was just so cool that I wanted to go back and, win three gold medals, win a gold in all three divisions. And I know no one
Wow.
had ever done that, and that was my goal to do. And I did go back and do that in England in 1991. And then the
So
rest
you
was
hold
history.
the world
After that,
record for that particular event, that time. You
yes,
set a
that
world
was
record.
yes.
Yes.
No other male or female had ever won a gold in all three divisions, and I don't believe anyone has achieved that yet to date. So I went back and did it again a second time, winning three golds again, and that was at the Waka World Championship. So overall, I have nine Waka World titles, and I was holding the record as far as male or female having the most gold medals. And my Paul Mitchell teammate Zolt Murati just recently beat my record and earned his 10th gold medal. So there's an incredible fighter, and he's only won it in fighting since he was in junior division. He's won his 10 gold medals all in fighting. So um, quite an accomplishment, and it was a long record I held. So, but
And a
I don't think
long
anyone,
time too.
yeah, I don't think anyone's won the three golds yet at one world championship. We'll see. Um,
Well, you've done it several times, so it's got to be a female, and she's got to follow in your footsteps and do what you've done, which will be quite an accomplishment to do. So you're in the history books as the first and probably the only, and definitely the most that's ever been done. Unless somebody intentionally goes after your record, and good luck on that one.
yes.
Back in the day when you fought, the fighting then, it was a little bit different than what it is now. Could you tell us? I remember back when the PKA was going on, and I was with my grandmaster, Seito Kenyatta, and he was fighting for what's called the Professional Karate Association. When they first started, they were using bare knuckles. There were no protection, nothing like that. You went in there with your bare knuckles and you just did what you had to do.
Yeah, sport karate back then, yes. That was before my time. But when I was competing, it was, some of the gear was optional, and headgear was definitely not mandatory at that time. The safety equipment was not a big focus as far as being mandatory. And so, a lot of my career I fought without headgear and different other equipment that they would require. Sometimes we'd wear the shin and instep pad rather than a actual foot gear. And towards the end of my career, that the headgear became mandatory, and so I mean, it's a good thing because they're looking after the safety of the competitors, and especially when you have young kids fighting. you know we've
Yes.
we've seen so many people that have had, you look at some boxers or football players,
Football
and
players, and they have these brain injuries and these
right,
concussions, and they're serious, and the next thing you know, They
Hmm.
if they survive to get older, they're having memory problems, all kinds of physical health problems, and especially because of the concussions on the brain, they're having a lot of problems memorizing and mental problems, not because per se that they're mental, but because of the blows and
Mhm.
the
Yeah. So
punishment that they're taking on their
so
heads.
I mean, I remember the old days and old school fighting and stuff like that, and um, a lot has changed, and I loved those days, but I also understand the importance of having that equipment and making sure that your students and your kids and everybody who is coming up through the martial arts now is, 100% when they're hitting 50 or 60 years old, that they're not having any kind of, you know, um, brain injuries or anything else like that. So,
Talking my age now, a
and
little bit older.
I also, have been working with Macho Products since like
I was going
back
to
in
mention that. Since
1990.
all of these head injuries, now that you're with Macho, you're into the protective gear and you're promoting protective gear, and
Yes,
a lot of people don't realize how important that gear, that protective gear, is in protecting you against injury and combat, because a lot of people don't have control, like you per se, and a few other people that I know, experts, but a lot of beginners, and then there's a lot of I would consider maybe above third or fourth degree black belt, that their control physically is good, but mentally they'll lose it, and then they'll use techniques that they know that they shouldn't be using or could be disqualified for. But their
yes,
temper kicks in, and then they, throw blows
that
that
happens.
unnecessary.
That happens, and I mean, I've always loved working with Macho because they always have tested all their equipment all the time, and they're very, very. Their main goal is to make sure that their protection, their equipment is top notch and rates above everybody as far as how well it protects the head or anything else. So, um, I love working with them as far as helping design, cool products, coming out with new designs and different ideas and stuff like that. So, I've
Mm.
helped them with that as far as designing new products, but also modeling for them in their catalogs and being a spokesperson. And most recently, we started a team macho. So
Too macho, yes.
so I
That's with the children. Am I correct?
yep, and I have some adults on the team, and
Uh-huh.
I'm traveling to all these tournaments all the time, and being a spokesperson for Macho, I thought it was a great idea to come up with you know having a team Macho that I coach, and Macho kind of sponsors them, and we have some outstanding kids and a few adults on the team. So it's a small team. It's some teams 20, 30, 40 people on it. I mean, we have a small team, but that they're all really good people and great competitors. So I'm really enjoying being on the opposite end and helping coach. So you go from a competitor to an instructor to a coach and officials. So kind of making the whole circle around.
Well, that's amazing. Whether it's a small group or a large group, because of the caliber of martial artist that you are, you're well respected wherever you go, anywhere in the world. Could you tell us about your trips in Europe? You've been to Ukraine, Italy, Guatemala. You've been to quite a few countries. A lot of people are interested as to how the martial arts tournaments differ in different countries as opposed to the USA. And I know the USA has different rules, as in movies, which I would like to discuss with you later on in this segment. But there's different rules in different countries, and things are done a little bit differently. Could you tell us about that?
Yeah,
For
I've been
people
to a
who've
lot of
never been
different
out of this
countries.
country?
When I went to Guatemala, that was I went there to teach some seminars. So I didn't actually compete down there, but I was at one of their competitions as a guest. And it was some of it is some of the countries run their events very similar. When I went to the Ukraine, I went there to
Mhm.
perform at a big kickboxing show. It was probably the biggest event I've ever actually performed at. It was amazing. And the year I went to the Ukraine in Kiev, it was right after Russia split up, and it wasn't the communist country, one big country. So it was the year after that. So martial arts is very new.
Uh, you have to excuse the noise. I'm usually out in the back patio, but I didn't have enough light, so I came out here where it's noisy at. But I'll have my studio set up again. But if you could repeat that about Ukraine, you were saying about Ukraine
Yeah,
and that
that was
area.
back right after Russia broke up, and then they became all individual countries, and it wasn't
Soviet
communist
Union.
anymore.
Yeah.
So the martial arts was very, very new over there because they were not allowed, just like they weren't allowed to practice religion, they weren't allowed to practice any kind of martial arts. So it was very, very new. So, and they were trying to get me to open a school over there. And I was like, I definitely didn't want to be making that trip all the time. So that was very different, very interesting. And it was, fighting is fighting, whether you're boxing or kickboxing or anything
It's
like
a
that.
very yes, it's a
But
very
as
very
far
very
as far
physical
as like the
sport.
katas and the forms, they were very, very, very novice on that level when I had gone over there because it was so new to them. But the fighters were decent because training and fighting is a little different than learning the actual history and art of martial arts. So that part they were a little different on it. They were new. Competed in Italy and Ireland and Canada and God, what else?
It's
Uh,
basically all over the world, huh?
yeah, yeah, and it's been fun. It's been fun seeing the different countries and the history in each country. But when you're competing against someone in Italy,
Uh-huh.
it's not, like here in the States, you might say, well, that referee was from his school or from his town or something like that. So you
Exactly.
kind of get your favoritisms with that and
Yeah, there's
political
always
stuff.
that bias when you have a judge that's affiliated with one of the organizations
Right.
or some of the
But when you
people in there, and then you have that biased judgment going in, and it favors the one that they're familiar with. But you're saying that that they don't have that over there, huh?
No, well, they do. I mean, when you go over there, it's not so much that Italian judge has an affiliation with that competitor. It's their nationality. So it's like, they want the Italians to be an American. You're a foreigner over there. So it doesn't even matter if they're associated with them, same style, same school, or anything else. It's nationalities against each other. So, that makes it tough when you go into another country and you're trying to beat them. And I mean, as far as I just think our level of forms and weapons competition is is much higher than a lot of countries. Not all of them, but
Hmm.
some of our forms and weapons competition is very high level. When it comes to fighting, you have you really just got to make it so obvious that if you have a very close two people hitting very close, they're gonna always go towards you know their
The
country
host
person.
country.
Yeah, so you just have, and that's kind of like the attitude I always went in. You just have to make it so clean and so obvious that you can't worry about having a bad call because if that guy
That's
can't
why
even come
you
close
were
to
such
hitting
a that's why you were such a vicious fighter, and boom boom, everybody's like, I gotta go see this fight because they
you.
knew that when they came to see you, they saw a real show because you did not play. You, but you've been doing this for how long? What, 40 years now?
Almost
Not trying
40,
to give away your
39,
age,
going on
nothing.
my 40th year of martial arts. Yes.
Yes, that's quite a long time. Quite a long time. You've also have done a lot of stunt work
and a lot of people don't know that you were in Batman, Karate Kid, Extreme Fighting. You were in some really serious Hollywood major hits, and you're a stuntwoman. A lot of people don't even realize that. They know you're a champion, but they didn't know that you were in the Hollywood crowd doing stunt work back in the day. These people talking about how did you get in? Well, you know what? You've got the veteran right here. Not only is she a superstar in the combat, not only has she been across the world and fought in every country, and you know different styles. You also know Krav Maga too, don't you?
Yes, yep. I teach Krav Maga here at my school as well as the Kempo. And yeah, the film work, I that just kind of fell on me. It was not something that was on my list to do and accomplish. But a good friend of mine, Mr. Pat Johnson, was friends with him for years. You know, we were very good friends, and he was filming the next Karate Kid. I mean, he was the stunt coordinator for all the Ninja Turtle movies, all the Karate Kid movies, Batman and Robin, a lot of different films he did. And you know, when he was doing the last Karate Kid movie with Hilary Swank, not the one with
Didn't
Ralph
you double
Macchio,
for
but
Hilary Swank? You were a double in that film, weren't you?
yeah, yes.
Yes. That's why
So,
her technique was so good.
but
It was you.
he's the one that called me and asked me about if I would stunt double for her. You know, he had stunt people that did the other stunts, not martial arts related. You know, she jumps over a car, the pizza delivery guy, and you know, she does a couple different things, this other stunt woman. And when it came to the martial arts part, he wanted, you know, someone at a much higher level. She had, I guess, the
Someone
stunt woman.
authentic with skill like yourself.
Yeah, so I guess
And
the stunt woman knew martial arts, but she wasn't like world champion level status. So, you know, he called me and asked me about going in and doubling for her. So I figured sounds like a fun thing to try. So I did it, and you know, I loved it. So after that I ended up doing the TV show WMAC Masters, and I did Batman and Robin, where I doubled for Alicia Silverstone, and you know, Extreme Fighter with Don Wilson and Cynthia Rothrock and Lorenzo Lamas, and oh God, Underdog. I did some stunts in, and just you know, I did some work on the Mortal Kombat TV show. I was scheduled to go and be in the movie and double for Katana, but
oh, okay.
that's when I they were filming in Thailand, and that's when I found out I was pregnant. So I wasn't able to take the malaria and all those medications and stuff. I
Oh
found out I was
yeah.
pregnant. So
Yeah, being pregnant and raising a family and a woman, that just puts a whole new spin on the whole game.
oh,
Now,
it
knowing your
does.
mom with all the responsibility and the children, and did you retire for a few months or a year or so to spend time with the kids, or you just spent
Retired.
time with them and you had help and you just continued? Because I know that's a way of life with you and your husband, and I know that's what you do.
Hmm.
And I know that you probably have, I'm sure you have assistance. But there's those times, you're like, yeah, I'm out on the road and no, I miss my kids. I want to go home and, spend some time, and I'm not
Yeah.
going out this time. I'm taking a month off. I'm not doing any shows. I'm staying right here with you guys. I know you felt that type of thing before too.
Yeah, when I had my first son, I taught up until the night before I delivered, you know, so I was active right up to
Wow,
the very end there. And then you know,
that's
after I had
pushing
my
it.
yeah, after I had my son, I took a few weeks off, but you know, not much, you know, a few weeks, and then, you know, started back slowly because I needed to get my niece to babysit and, you know, get that whole thing going as far as, you know, leaving him home and not being around him. So, you know, but then I started putting more and more hours and getting right back on track. And, you know, so I have two boys. So, they pretty much grew up in the karate school, and you
Oh, I
know,
know that. Not with you, with your family, there's no possible way you can't.
yeah, yeah,
And
and
they
it
got some big shoes to follow to step in too.
yeah, and it can work either way, and I kind of did that with both kids. You know, one is owning his own school. My older son, him and his stepbrother, half brother, they own a school, and that's what he does. And he's also doing some film work. He just did The Society. It's a Netflix original show, and he was on that. That
Wow.
started out. It aired in May.
Okay,
Is when
now
it
what
came
was the
out.
name of the show again?
The Society.
Okay, you guys, you heard that, right? Netflix. I've got it. I'm watching this.
Yeah, yeah. So he did a great job on it and stuff. So he's kind of like following in my footsteps, and brought up through the martial arts school. Being in the school all the time, and he's pretty much ventured in that same direction as myself and my husband. And my other son, he made it up to his brown belt, and he just was like, nah, this isn't for me. I've been here every single day since I can remember, since I was two. And he says I want to break from it, and and you gotta respect that. I mean,
Yeah,
I know I
yeah.
did my job as far as taking him up through the martial arts where he can defend himself. If he was a white or a yellow
You
belt,
attacked, or you don't have to
and
worry about him being out
right,
because you know he can defend himself because you
right.
have him at that level. And I'm
But
sure
if he was
your brown belts will go to any tournament and beat any second or third degree black belt because I know you.
Yeah, actually, he competed in black belt division because he
I
was
knew
beating
it.
all the brown belts. So, but it's if he was a white belt or a lower belt and 5, 6 years old, telling me he didn't want to do karate, I'd be telling him you don't have a choice. That's just like going to school or anything else. It's a necessity nowadays. But I mean, he did it. He did it for a long time up until he was almost 16. So and he earned up to his brown belt, and I can't put him for a black belt if he doesn't have the desire and he doesn't want to do it. So I mean, it is what it's not for everybody, but I did my job, and he knows how to protect himself, and that's the main thing. And hopefully he's going to come back when he gets a little older, and spend more time here and train and earn his black belt. But so you can't always expect them to be, what your heart and
Yeah,
soul
a
is.
lot of times we want our children to follow the guidelines that we've set for them for life, and they have something totally different in mind. At least mine did anyway. And you're like,
Yeah.
I want you to do this, and I want you to go to college, and you're going to be taking up science, and you're going to be taking up biology, and maybe you can work at CERN, and maybe you can do some good or something like that. And they're like, no, I think I want to be a cop. Alrighty then, that wasn't what I had in mind, but hey, that's a good field too, so I have no problem with that. But what about the martial arts? That's your thing, Dad. And then they get into it. But here's the thing, they never leave it. I noticed that they never, it stays in their system. After they get so far, it stays in their system. They'll get
Yes.
bored with it because their parent, they see us in it. And they're like, okay. And they have some type of feeling about like, well, my mom or my dad, they've done this, they've done this, they've done that. There's no possible way I could ever achieve all the things that that my parents have possibly achieved. So I'm going to try something else. But in the back of their mind, they know that what you have achieved, and they know that it's historical beyond belief. And it's like, okay, I know I can never equal or parallel what my parents have achieved, but I can at least set my mark and make them proud. And that discipline and that perseverance is what sticks in them. And I try to communicate that to all the children that I've taught, that perseverance and that indomitable spirit, which is one of our code of ethics, that you have to stick to it. You just can't just go and, oh, well, I don't feel like it today. Well, you don't feel like it today. You got to get up. That's when you really go because you don't feel like it. When you get finished, you're going to feel great.
Yep,
So tell me,
absolutely.
what was it like working on Batman? I'm very curious because Batman's one of my favorite movies. I'd like
Uh,
to hear about that. Some of the people on the set and what was that like?
oh, it was very cool. I mean, it was a very high budget film, so they flew, and I'm here in Rhode Island, so they were filming out in California. So it was a very long trip, shooting me across the country just for a fitting. Uh, they sent me over there, and actually the whole leather looking outfit that I wore was designed by the gentleman who created a lot of Michael Jackson's outfits, and custom made a lot of celebrity outfits, and so I mean this outfit fit me to a T beautifully. um
Wow.
I think that they should have gave it to me, but the boots, the
Sometimes
stilettos.
the wardrobe gets a little funny about that. Yeah, can we have that back? There was a couple actors. I think one of them was Christopher Walken. He never gave any of his clothes back, and I think it was a couple of outfits that Al Pacino wore in a couple of movies. He said, "Nope, you're not getting these back." So, and then Johnny Depp, he did the same thing. So, I guess it depends if they really like the costume and the wardrobe. If they like it, they're gonna keep it. They're gonna take it home. Like, we're gonna take it out to pay. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah,
I'm keeping it.
but yeah, that was very very cool, and I got a chance to work with Cheryl Wheeler. She was the double for Uma Thurman, so we actually do the fight scene with each other, and that was a lot of fun
Awesome.
hanging out with her the whole time, and we became very good friends, and that was we got a chance to meet. Arnold. I've met Arnold Schwarzenegger before. He wasn't actually on the set when I was filming, but George Clooney was, and a lot of the other actors. So it,
Wow. See,
it
people
was
don't
it
know
was
this.
very,
George Clooney, Arnold Schwarzenegger, Batman. I mean, and who were you stunt doubling for on Batman with the leather?
Alicia Silverstone. She was Batgirl.
See, they don't know that either. Now you guys know. She was the real Batgirl, not Alicia Silverstone. She's pretty, but she wasn't the one doing the techniques. But
Yep.
a long time ago, they didn't put the stunt work when stunt people, and back then it's not as safe as it is now. A lot of stunt people they did stunt work, they got hurt, and when the credits rolled across the screen, a lot of the stunt people in the business never got credit for a lot of the work that they did,
Mhm.
and a lot of them it's a lot safer now, and we've taken a tip from the Hong Kong cinema with the wire work and all of that. We didn't usually have that, but we did have the airbags and etc. Now we have the wire work, the airbags, and I believe you have a safety crew come and check and make sure everything is safe now because a lot of lives were lost. Um,
Yes, yes, and you have to have a lot of faith in the stunt coordinator and who's working with you and who's setting up and rigging things, and you have to have a lot of trust in that person. So it helps when you know the person, and dealing with someone that you have a lot of trust with. So that's always a fun direction in the martial arts. And then we have the tournament that we promote as well. So it's always constantly involved in all different aspects here. So we have a big tournament in April every year, and that is
you have this tournament. You have a tournament every year. Could you tell us about this tournament that you do annually? I don't think a lot of people know about that, but this would be a great time for those who don't know and you're watching. I think you should join in and find out about this. Could you tell them
Yep.
about this, Christine?
We're actually going on our 40th anniversary in 2020 for the Ocean State Grand Nationals. So it'll be 40 years we've been promoting it. It was my husband's tournament first, but then became co-promoter with him. And it's in April, and first weekend of April, and it's a 3-day event. We have mostly black belts on Friday and Saturday competing, and then Sunday is just focused on the underbelts. So the instructor, a lot of times instructors are competing, and they don't want to miss their students compete, and this is nice because they have their own day to compete, and then the underbelts they compete on Sunday, and it's just focusing on them. It's their day, and it's a great event. We have a big nighttime show on Saturday night. We had
Wow.
Chuck Zito in last year, and every year we have some special guests come in. I've had Shannon Lee come in. Chuck Norris has been a couple times. We had Bill Wallace and Don Wilson and Cynthia, and just tons of celebrities that we bring in one of our friends each year to be our special guest. And like I said, Chuck Zito was our guest last year, and
Uh-huh.
it's a fun 3-day event. It's a lot of work, but we get people from all over the country. We get people from up in Canada, some Europeans that come in, some from Central America, and it's just the Paul Mitchell team and a lot of other teams that are there competing, and you just see some of the best out there. So it's definitely a fun weekend.
So it's a weekend of international martial arts of various styles, and it sounds like it's a great fun.
It
Could
is.
you tell us where the next event is going to be and what city, and give us some more details?
Yes, it's Warwick, Rhode Island. It's in Warwick, Rhode Island, and that is on April uh 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I want to say, um of
It's in April.
2020. So yeah, so that is when we're holding it. It's the first weekend of April, in 2020, and that's in Warwick, Rhode Island, and we hold it at the Crown Plaza Hotel. So, if you get a room there, you don't even have to leave the hotel. You just come down from your room, compete, go up, take a shower, come back down, watch some more competition and stuff. It's just definitely a fun weekend, and it's close by to a lot of things here in Rhode Island. You got Newport, Rhode Island with the mansions, and
Mm,
we have
okay.
ocean everywhere, and it's just starting to
And
get nice in April.
yachts and fishing and the
Yeah,
work.
there's all
So
kinds of
the
stuff.
landscape is
Malls.
beautiful by
Yeah,
itself. Yes.
yes, you have the malls to go shopping. There's a lot to do here. So, we hope to see a lot of people here this year and supporting the event. And, we pride ourselves on it being very organized. And, we have divisions as young as 4-year-olds and beginners. So it's not just the best black belts in the world that are there competing, but you have divisions as young as 4 that are, beginner, intermediate, advanced, and then you have your black belt levels. And the black belt levels go all the way up to there's a 30-year-old division, a 40-year-old, a 50-year-old, and a 60 and over division. So, we
So
have
you're covering all ground. It doesn't matter if you're young or if you're a senior citizen. If you
right.
feel
Well,
you got to get into it, come on in. You're welcome. The doors are open. Come on in, have fun, compete, enjoy yourself, enjoy the scenery because this is great. And I'm telling you guys, we've got two great events, not only in April, but in January. Um, 24th, 25th, and 26th, we have the 20th anniversary of the Hall of Honors Martial Arts, Action Martial Arts Magazine with Sifu Alan Goldberg. I've seen you there. As a matter of fact, that's where I met you a couple of times, and
yeah,
I really, really enjoyed myself. There was a lot of people there, but I just was captivated. There's something magnetic about you. I was just captivated by you, and people were coming around me like, yeah, yeah, Grandmaster Warner or Thunderwolf. Can I take some pictures with you? Because I was dressed in my regalia, and that gets a lot of attention also. But I was just enthralled with you. I'm like, oh my God, she's the legend, and it seemed like, and we're in the VIP section. So and in the VIP section, and I hate to say this, but it's true amongst a lot of us. Not all of us, but some of us. There's some egos flying around, and I could care less about that. I was following you around like a little puppy dog. Oh my God. Oh, I was like, A kid in a candy store. I'm with Christine-Bannon-Rodriguez. Oh my God. Yes, yes. Oh my God.
It's
My
a
next
that
question.
that event is a very fun event, and this year it's going to be their 20th anniversary. So my tournament, my husband and I, the Ocean State tournament that my husband and I promote is part of the NASCA circuit, and that's North American Sport Karate Association. So there's whatever it is, 14 tournaments all over the North America, part of this circuit, and our tournament is one of them. So people travel the circuit to be ranked and become national champions. And on the same weekend as Alan is one of the NASCAR events in Chicago. So I'm going to be juggling that weekend as far as getting there and then getting to Alan, the action martial arts event as well. And I was just trying to find that date for my tournament, 'cause I'm pretty sure our tournament is the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of April, but I'm just gonna take a peek at my calendar here. But yeah, so we
Yeah.
have that. Yes, it is the 3rd, 4th, and 5th of April.
Okay,
For
so
the
that's at the beginning of April. I'm glad it's not April 1st.
no. It has been in the past though, and or on April 1st, it's like, we're crunch time and it's coming up very close. And I've I think one year I told my husband that oh, I got to tell you something, Cynthia called me and Cynthia can't make it to the tournament. I don't know what's going on. Something came up and he was like, "What?" I was like, "April Fools."
You gave him a coronary, Chris.
Yeah. Yeah.
Uh, yes, we love you. We love you. So you're going to be at Allen's this this year?
Yes, I'm planning to be there. Like I said, I got to kind of juggle the two events that weekend. So I'd like to try and be at both somehow, some way. And and this year's the 20th anniversary. So
I'm looking forward to being there for you, and may the ancestors and the great Creator make this happen for you. God, whatever you wish to call him, the Creator, or whatever the other religions call him. We hope that you be there, and I'm sure that you will be.
yes, I'm gonna do my best. And my husband's planning to be there, Don. So
And I want to meet him. I want to meet him.
okay.
Ah, so is there anything else that you want to tell us about that's coming up next year that you're going to be doing? Because I know that you're traveling all over the place, and I know you've got
I
a lot
am.
more going on. Um,
I
uh,
am.
you've got a big show in Vegas also too, don't you?
A show in Vegas. Well, my husband is the coach of the Paul Mitchell team, so they do something out there for the martial arts
That was
super
your
show.
husband.
But
Okay. Yeah.
yeah, I'm not doing anything in Vegas right now. But I do have, what do I have coming up? I have a seminar in Connecticut at Shakowski's Martial Arts, Cromwell Martial Arts. I have a seminar there in September,
Okay.
and just did a seminar up in New Hampshire last weekend, and
Oh,
um, yeah, so it's just busy, doing seminar. I'm either doing seminars or traveling and helping out at tournaments, officiating, and you know, um, helping run tournaments as well, and just being busy with that, and of course the karate school here, running this. My husband and I, co-own the Don Rodriguez Karate Academy. So between that and the
yes.
kickbox
Yes.
karate and the kickboxing here and the Krav Maga, and so it's always busy.
You've been in numerous magazines. I mean, could you tell the audience some of the magazines that you've been in, that you've been covered in? I don't think they realize that you've been in the cover of magazines for quite a long time, and
Yeah, I think I've been
you're an
close to
icon.
close to 50 covers of magazines.
You
I
guys
was on
hear
Black.
that? 50 covers. 50 covers. Can you get to that? You dig?
I think Black Belt Magazine I was on twice. Martial arts training when they had that. Oh God, Inside Karate. They're just
Black Belt Magazine, Inside
insert on
Karate.
like Swells, Karate International, and Budo Magazine, and God,
Budo, yeah, I remember that. I don't know if that's still in print, but I did like that magazine.
yep, yep, it is.
Excellent.
Maurice Elmalam writes for them as well, and does a lot of work with them. So, I'm trying to think, just the macho catalogs, being on the cover of those, and
Oh, yes,
I don't really
all the
count those
time.
as magazine covers. That's catalogs, but
I think that's where everybody recognizes you from the macho cover. But
yes,
they don't
Karate
realize that
Illustrated.
you've been into so many martial arts magazines, and there's been so many stories written about you. And it's like, okay, well, it's a while back, but now everything is all digitized now, and everything is
Yeah,
all digital. Everything is like instant access. I need to know right now, and just give me the basics of what I want to know. Back then you read what you had to read, and you learned, and you're like, okay, I don't know if this is kosher, if this isn't, or this is awesome. So you had to judge for yourself what was real, what wasn't real.
mhm,
We've
yep.
had a few.
Karate Illustrated back then, which they don't have that anymore. But and one of the other things that I do have coming up is one of my old teammates. I was on the Atlantic World Karate team and the Trans World Oil team years ago in the 80s. And one of my old
Okay.
teammates, Steve Nasty Anderson, is suffering from Parkinson's disease. So he's struggling with that, and we have a big fundraiser going on the end of September, and it's going to be a dual event. They're running one up in Canada where he lives on a Friday, and then on Sunday, and it's September 29th. On the 29th in New York, we're going to be doing an event for him there as well, and he will be coming down to it with his family. And we're really looking forward to seeing him. And I do have tickets for the event. It's $60 on the ticket. It's going to be a nice brunch. I think it's from 11:30 to 4 o'clock that they have the hall in the restaurant in
And
New York.
folks,
So
this is one you're going to want to be at. Trust me.
yeah,
Believe me on that.
so
Could you
so
repeat this again so that they get this information again? Because I want them to hear this, because you
yeah,
guys really need to attend this. This is very,
yeah.
very important.
It's
Because as
September.
martial artists, we really need to support each other.
Absolutely. It's September 29th, a Sunday in New York at 11:30 to 4 o'clock. And tickets are $60. And and people who can't make it there or whatever, there is a place where you can go to make a donation, or if you wanted tickets, like I said, I do have tickets if anyone needed any. So we're just looking forward to seeing some old timers there, and looking
You're
forward to
talking
seeing
about me, right? Love
looking
you too,
forward to
Chris.
seeing everyone there, and supporting Steve, because he really needs our help right now, and
Right.
going through a tough time. So that's what
Yeah.
teammates, and that's what us martial arts
That's
family
what us martial artists
do.
brothers and sisters are for, to help each other, promote each other, and build each other up, and keep integrity and respectability in what we do. And
And
I write.
Kevin Thompson, who is also one of my old teammates, he's the one that's really pushing the event and helping promote it. And you know, Kevin has ALS right now, so I mean, he won't even be able to go to the event. But he's the one that's really, pushing and promoting the event as well. And as far as along with Sonny Williams, and um, so it's here's someone who can't even really leave the house to go see the event, but yet he's helping promote the event because he wants to support his teammate and stuff. And I take my hat off to Kevin, because he's got the biggest heart in the world, and he's always thinking about everybody else, and he's got his own issues. So um you
That's
know
beautiful. That's
it is
beautiful.
it is
That's beautiful. If you could, when after we're finished with this segment, if you could send me some more information on that so I can post it so that the
Sure.
rest of the public will know how to get in contact with the people that's running the organizations and how to donate. And we want you to donate because, you know, it's not like we're baseball players or football players or boxers where we get $20 million. We're martial artists. We don't make that kind of money. So as martial artists and even as grandmasters, we've got to stick together and help each other out. We're building federations to do that now, and I'm working with a couple of federations that are doing quite a few things. Right now, I'm working with the International Kung Fu, International Wushu and Shangshu Federation, and I'm the president of the United States division. And we're going to be doing some big things, and that's one of the things on my agenda is Native Americans and the care of the elderly martial artists who for some reason, or for any reason, that need help in health care or medicine, we can be there to help them out.
Absolutely.
But that's beautiful. I'm glad you brought that out, and that's a beautiful thing. And that
Well,
that goes with and there you go again, Chris. The young people and the older people, you know, you have that thing like, okay, the kids, I love you. The older, the seniors, I love you too. I got your back. That's beautiful. And if more martial artists had your attitude, and especially with all that you accomplished, I've never met a woman or a man for that matter that has accomplished as much as you have and still have the humility and humbleness that you exude. It exudes from you, and it's magnetic, and it just leaves me in awe. I don't know how everybody does everybody else, but it leaves me in awe, and
thank
I'm
you.
very impressed. And I want you to know I'm very thankful and grateful.
Thank you
Appreciate
for having me on your interview and your show, and I look forward to seeing you in
it. Very
January.
very soon. Very, very soon. Well, I'll be in October at the Legends Awards with Eric Kowalski, Cynthia Rothrock, and Robert Goldman. So if you can make that, that would be nice. If you're not busy, I would like
And
to see you there.
that in Pennsylvania,
This time it's in New Jersey.
New Jersey. Okay.
Yes. If you want me to get you that information, I can get you that information. And you can get me
Sounds
the other information, and we can just exchange information and go from there.
okay.
Um,
Sounds good.
great, great. And I want to thank you all, brothers and sisters, and my martial artists and non-martial artists. I appreciate you all tuning in and watching the great Christine-Bannon-Rodriguez. I'm sure you've all learned quite a bit. Like, for instance, that you didn't know that she was in Batman Returns or the Karate Kid. And a lot of you didn't know that she was a stunt woman. And a lot of you didn't know that she won so many gold medals that she was a nine-time champion. You didn't know that. And she's also not only a nine-time champion, I want you all to know that she's a ninth degree black belt. So you better be careful when you step to her. You watch what you say. Okay, sis, I'm going to let you go. And
All
meet the
right. Thank
bottom,
you. Thank
Liz,
you.
and God
All
bless.
right.
And you guys tune in. I'm looking forward to having Tommy Wolf from the Apache Nation. He'll be representing the West Coast in the International Wushu Federation. Pretty soon we'll be also having Eric Kowaleski and Cynthia Rothrock join us. So join us here on the Wolf Report. And I enjoyed your company, and so did Christine. And we hope you have a
Thank you.
wonderful, wonderful weekend. And thank you so much, Christine.